Hey y'all, hey! This is Ruth Delgado and Ruth Delgado's Glamour Page. If you've been here before, welcome back. And if you haven't seen me before, welcome to my channel. I am Ruth Delgado, and this is my channel that I have for inspiration, to show you guys what I have to offer. I have a bedazzle business where I bling things out, and I also have a cleaning business called True Cleaning where I do cleaning and organization services for people, as well as this platform where I share like story times and my yoga dance videos, as well as hair tutorials, nail videos, etc. etc. So I have a lineup of a lot of stuff on my channel, and I just basically put it all under inspiration because that's the major goal that I have for my viewers. I want to be able to, in a great and productive way, inspire you guys to be your best selves while y'all watch me do the best that I can to be my best self. That makes sense. So, anyway, today I'm going to be getting into my sexy Saturday stripper tales. And of course, what's today? Duh, it's Saturday. So, I'm going to be telling you guys yet another sexy Saturday stripper tales series of short story times of my time frame when I used to be a dancer. If you've already subscribed to my channel and you're already a part of the Truth Tribe, thank you very much for subscribing. And you probably already seen a few of my other videos where I talked about this sexy Saturday stripper tales. So this would be, I believe, my third or fourth video on this specific subject. I noticed that you guys really are starting to like and get interested in the sexy stripper tales for Saturday. So I decided, okay, I'm going to keep producing them. Why not? If they like it, I'm going to keep doing it, right? So that's why I decided to come to you guys again with another video. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about today is a story. Now, this may sound familiar if you're already subscribed. I've talked about this friend of mine before, but out of respect for her family, I'm not going to disclose like her name or anything like that, obviously. This is a friend of mine that I met a few years ago when I was dancing, and she passed away last year, like right before summertime, or like right in the middle of summertime, somewhere around there. So I wanted to tell the story of how I met her. Okay, so I met my friend. I'm going to nickname her Cece. I'm not sure if I nicknamed her the same name in my other stories. If I didn't, please forgive me. I don't want to confuse you guys, but if I am, I apologize. So Cece, one day, I had all day, I'm sorry. I'm tripping. I'm reading everything wrong. Okay, so I met my friend Cece one day. I had all day made an okay amount of money at work, and I was drunk, turned up, so I didn't want to go home yet. And I mentioned it in the dressing room with a few girls that I knew who was cool, including her. And we hit it off right away, and we started joking around and making phone calls. And next thing I knew, we were at an after hour making more money. So basically, I wrote down like a rough draft of all of the stories because y'all, sometimes it's hard to stay in flow if you don't write it down. Okay, even when it comes from the memory, because sometimes you can mix up your own memories, child. I've come to recognize that. I'm like, wait a minute, hold up, that's not what happened. That was another time. But sometimes it be like that though. I know, if y'all be honest, y'all back me up on that. Like sometimes you you know, if you don't write things down and correctly remember everything, you might mess up your own daggone story sometimes. But this is basically one day, basically when I first started dancing. And when I say first, I mean like in the beginning of me dancing. It was different time frames of me dancing where I worked like this, where I worked all day and all night and all morning. Okay, so this was that time frame where um, I had worked all night, and I had an okay amount of money that I had made throughout that night. But you know, like basically, when you make your amount that you want to make, or at least an okay amount where it's not a problem, you can leave. Then you leave. But I was drunk. I was turned up. I was like, kind of like, all right, now I can make a little bit more money and party this time. And that's kind of like what the after hours was for. The after hour was because most of the times the customers and the dancing ladies like myself at that time, you know, we would be turned up from drinking all night and you know, listening to music and dancing already for hours. You know, you still young, you still youthful, and you still pumped. So that's what the situation was at that point. So that's why I had came into the dressing room that night, and I was like turned up, and I was like, I ain't trying to go home right now. You know, I was bugging a little bit. And she was like, yo, I feel you. She was like, I feel the same way, but I'm trying to find out where to go because I don't know that many places all, you know, anymore, whatever. Boom, boom, boom. And so we were talking. She made a few phone calls, and then she was like, you know what? We out of here. We going to the after hour. And I think it was about 3 or 4 of us that all went. You know, it wasn't just me and her. And we went there. Everything was cool, smooth sailing. We was even having fun. We was making money, everything. I had now at the after hour, what I usually would do is, because like I said, I'll be turned up already anyway. I usually would find a corner, probably hang out with one of my girlfriends, like her or somebody else, chill, talk to them, drink with them, whatever, and then just be dancing by myself. Like that's a lot of times that's how I was when it came to the after hour. So that particular day I was doing just that, dancing by myself, drinking by myself, just chilling by myself. And my girlfriend at the time, she had found some guy that she was talking to. So she was, you know, busy talking to him. So I remember slightly because I was very drunk. So it's like a lot of that night that I be mixing up and screwing up and like, psh, listen. But anyway, I remember that this guy kept trying to push up on me while I was dancing. And like usually I'd have pushed him away because usually I ain't like nobody dancing up on me. But I was in a good mood. Like, you know, I was like partying. I was like vibing. So I wasn't pushing him away or anything. I was dancing with him and, you know, whatever. And I didn't know that guy, so I didn't know I ended up finding out he had a girlfriend later. So later on, from what I got from my girlfriend Cece, because I ended up having to ask my girlfriend Cece what happened because I was so drunk. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I didn't really remember half of the stuff that happened. So I was like, what happened? And she told me, and she was like, you know, the girl friend, you didn't know the guy had a girlfriend. The girlfriend walked up on you and started really getting in your face. And she said at first she was like really on some like, I'm chilling, I'm having a good time, like please leave me alone, like I didn't know that was your boyfriend. And she said but the girl kept trying to get in my face like she wanted to smoke. And she said she was sitting there talking to her friend, um and she was like she was just watching us because she was like she already know like I wasn't gonna let the girl keep trying, you know, be disrespectful, whatever. So she was just watching, and she was like, next thing I know, y'all start fighting, and you was messing that girl up. She said you was messing that girl so bad. She was like, you ended up beating her up so bad that you beat her up into me and my friend, and me and my friend was standing in front of, she said her and her friend was standing in front of the basement door of the club, the after hour spot. And she was like, and so soon as y'all went at it and you start duking her out, she's like, I guess y'all kept moving towards us while y'all was fighting. And she's like, next thing I know, me and my friend go rolling down the daggone basement stairs. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. She was like, no, it's cool. She was like, because I know the girl was messing with you. She was like, you really straight up was not messing with nobody. She was like, you had made your little bit of money and then you was just sitting there bobbing by yourself like you usually do. She was like, but the girl came up in your face and she kept messing with you. So she was like, you just, I don't know if she hit you first or what happened, but she was like, you just went off on her and started beating her up. Next thing we know, we was down the steps. I was like, but listen, I am not a troublemaker. I am not a heavy fighter. None of that. But I'm also not one of those type of people you want to play with because, yeah. If I get backed in the corner, I'm going to fight back, and it's what it is. So that's kind of how that was. So, yeah. So then, unfortunately, we couldn't have a peaceful night because some girl I didn't even know started a fight with me and made me knock my homie and her friend down some stairs because they got in the way of the fight. That night was so crazy, and thinking about it makes me miss my friend. May she rest in peace. So it's just like so wild, and it's so crazy because, like, when I remember times like that I have with her, where we spent time together and we was vibing and we was making money and stuff like that, it really kind of makes me sad. Because, I mean, I don't even have this story down here, but I'm going to share it with y'all anyway. And this is not when I was dancing. This is actually after I stopped dancing. But one of the last club that I officially was working at, which was the club that I was working at with her, is the first place that I actually got my first pop-up shop at. So, when I got that pop-up shop there and I was like, advertising my products and stuff, I ran into Cece. She was there. And y'all, what breaks my heart so much is how we really do stand in our own way of having good relationships and friendships. And I say that because Cece and I didn't have to stop being friends. Only reason why we ended up stop being friends was because our relationship had gotten complicated at one point because we was like real close. Okay. And like real close to the point where she took me over her mom's house. She would have her sister and some of her other friends come hang out with us and tip us and turn up with us and party with us and stuff like that. I even met her brother and everything. Like, I had almost met her whole family. Like, we was super cool. Um, and at the time that we was cool like this, I was dating this guy that I was having weird kind of relationship with at the time. Excuse me, y'all. And because of that, like the weird relationship that I was having with my boyfriend at the time, it just seemed to have gotten in the way of her and our friendship. Reason why I say that is because since she and I was so cool, we hung around each other's family, we hung around each other's boyfriends. And so one time I had her at my crib, where my boyfriend and I at the time had lived together. And I don't know what exactly happened, to be honest, because I was busy getting things situated so that she and I can go do what we were supposed to have plans for the rest of that day to do. We had plans. So I'm sitting there getting myself ready and situated for us to get our, you know, day started. And my boyfriend was there, but, he was just in his own zone. So I didn't recognize until after the fact that some kind of way, shape, or form, her and my boyfriend ended up getting into it like arguing, like actually arguing. And I was so confused because I'm like, what the hell? Why y'all arguing? And it was so weird. The whole argument was weird. Then she started turning on me, like she was arguing with me, and I didn't even know what the argument was about. Child, please listen. So after that situation, our relationship was just weird from there. Now, even after I had broke up with him, because I had broke up, obviously, because I'm with somebody else now. I had broke up with him, that guy that she ended up having that argument with and couldn't get along with. I had ended up breaking up with him, but regardless of breaking up with him, she and I still ended up not being able to be cool, not being able to be friends. And honestly, I don't know why that was the case, that we weren't able to be cool and friends or whatever, but we still weren't. And that particular day when I ran into her, when I was doing my first pop-up shop at the same club she was working at, because she was working that night. And I seen her, she seen me. We looked at each other, gave each other kind of a nod and waved. But I kind of felt like a coldness from her, like she didn't really want to be bothered, even though me personally, I miss my friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I'm really friends with somebody and I really care about somebody and I'm cool with them and I'm trying to have a friendship, relationship, or whatever with them, like I really be genuinely caring about people. So, it be like real kind of corny when I be caring about those people and they just be seeming like they just distant and never really cared themselves. It just really puts me kind of in a pickle where I'm like, okay, well then I'm not going to sit here and keep caring myself. If I'm going to be put out there to be the only one to care, then okay, it is what it is. It's whatever. So, that's why when it seemed like she had kind of like a distant kind of attitude at that time, that's why I was just like, okay, well, I decided to just say hi and that's it. But I'm not gonna lie. Now, after she done passed away months ago, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of feel like I wish that I would have tried to talk to her again, like just say more than hello. But I was so weirded out by her energy being so distant and me knowing how weird our relationship ended up not how we ended up not being cool, which was just a whole weird situation. It was just like, you know what, I would just leave it alone. So that's why I did. But I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I wonder, like, should I have just tried to talk to her anyway? Like, I don't know. But I'm gonna go on to the next story. So the next story I'm gonna share with you guys today is another day at the office in the strip club. It was a kind of like slow day, so it wasn't a lot of people in the club. But the money I did make was good that night, even though it was slow, because it was like a few people that like was regulars, so they didn't mind spending money. So I remember this one customer who he didn't have to spend money. He didn't even spend money with me, but he okay, I don't know what that is I wrote there. I'm sorry, y'all, had myself stuck. But anyway, he didn't even spend money on me, but he kept asking me um to do something that was like a kicker to me. I was like, what? This was like one of those requests where when the guy asks you, you like, "Hmm?" So he was asking me to, like, he literally kept begging me about it too. He kept bugging me to he said, could I or another girl that I know help him? I asked, help him with what? Um, I also, by the way, noticed that he was like not dressed manly. He was dressed like kind of like a girl. I definitely peeped that. Let me just mention that. So he says to me, well, I have friends who pretty like you, and they teach me how to be a girl. I was stunned. Yo, I was like, "Mhm." This what he said. He said they usually teach him how to be a girl. I'm like, teach you how to be a girl? What you mean? He's like, you know how y'all be, walking in them, y'all be having that nice walk in them pretty hills, and you know how y'all be dancing around the pole and stuff, and how y'all be flirting and stuff like that, how y'all talk a certain kind of way. He was like, I want you to teach me that. Or if not you, somebody else that you know. Now, mind you, he didn't say nothing about no money. Because now, if he would said something about some money, I might change my mind. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Cause if he would have came out his pockets and been like, "I'll give you $100 to give me a lesson how to walk across the stage or something," I did it. Okay. But he wasn't talking no money, so that's why I wasn't really trying to hear it. But I was listening because it wasn't really many people in there, so that was kind of like my only entertainment for that time. So it was just like, I guess I'll pass the time by listening to you and your craziness. But anyway, so I was like, okay. I said I wouldn't mind, but I really don't even know how I could actually do that comfortably. And thank goodness he understood. I didn't know how else to respond to that. Quite a memorable experience, though. Because I was like, huh? You want me to do what now? Yo, I was no good that day. After that I was no good, and I don't know if he ever found anybody else in the club that night to do that or what. But anyway, I'm gonna go to the next story. So, so let me tell y'all about the one time I dated a married man. Yeah, I mean, listen, I had to make sure that the stories is juicy and don't judge me, okay? Because if you try to judge me, you're getting kicked out. Point blank, period. You're gonna get blocked. I don't got no patience for the foolishness. I'm not a perfect Patty, nobody is. And if you listen to the story, you'll understand why. So here goes. So, so now before y'all start judging me, I was very young, one. And two, he said he and his wife was separated. And and didn't get along and was always arguing. He said he didn't even live with her anymore. So after many times of turning him down, but making money off of him as a client, he came to any club I worked at. He was not a cheap supporter. Like he was definitely, I miss my buddy. He was like a really good supporter, like for real. He made sure he came to the club and he made it rain on me. He made sure he spent that bread on me. Like he was not playing with me, and I was very appreciative of that because I was like at that time I was just starting off dancing when I had met him, and I was like, yeah, I would go talk to people and stuff like that, but sometimes it was kind of hard to talk to new people. So going to my regulars like him was a lot easier and a lot like relaxing or whatever. So yeah, and then he didn't make me work hard either. Like a lot of times he would tell me to just sit down and relax and talk to me and pay me. So he was one of my. I was so mad when I messed up this. Well, I didn't mess it up. He just listen, listen to the story. So he came to any club that I worked at. He was not cheap. So after a while um, of him telling me he wanted a relationship with me, he even wrote me poems, bought me a Dell laptop. Not gonna lie though, I knew right before his wife asked him to come back home, I knew when a woman noticed her man happy with someone else, she's gonna want him back. And I told him this right before he came to my place one day crying, like literally tears, y'all. Like, I'm gonna be honest, that's the first time. I had to think about that for a second, but if I'm not mistaken, that's the first time I actually witnessed a man crying over me in front of me. And I was like, Like it really touched me. I was like, damn. Excuse me, y'all. So that was just like, wow. But anyway, crying at the foot of my bed. One of the very few times I witnessed a man crying over me. He said he didn't want to hurt me and was apologizing for putting me in the middle of his failing marriage. And he was like, my wife wants me back in the house. She said we're going to try to make it work for the kids because he did have children. He had two kids, a boy and a girl. So he was like, I hate to hurt you like this because I do know, because I did. I told him, I was like, I ain't trying to get into nothing with no married man so he can leave me hanging as soon as I get in a vibe with him. And ain't that what happened? But I knew not to get too close though, because I knew, what the situation was. But I saw it all that to say this. Like, a lot of times, these women always want to come for the other woman. But at the end of the day, it be the men. It be the men. Because, he pursued me. I kept telling him no. Only reason why I ended up telling him yes is because he was so nice. He was so sweet. He was so kind. He was such a gentleman that I was like, all right, if y'all not really together, if y'all not even living together and all of that, then, I do believe that it's more so of a split than not. So that's why I went along with it and I got what I was able to get out of the situation. And I didn't allow my heart to get into it because I knew you married and y'all ain't getting no divorce. Cause like I had asked him when we was in the relationship, I was like, well, why don't y'all get a divorce if you really don't want to be married no more? And he was like, in all actuality, we very religious, our families are very religious. They know we're married. We don't want to go through that complication, and we have children, so we're trying to make it work out for the children as well. All of that. So I was just like, whatever. So, last story I'm going to talk to you about tonight. Well, today. I don't know why I'm saying tonight. Today is how about the time I hit my naked kitty on the stripper pole? Let's get into it. So here's what happened. Um, I was working at a club that was like a new club at this time, and it was a huge club, a really really big club. They even had big stages that you came out and danced on or whatever. So um, when I was dancing at that club, I also was new into the dance game. So was just like learning quite a few different types of like pole tricks and ways to move around the pole to look like effortless and look like doing something. So I just got into that, just got into the flow of like really learning how to move around the pole. So I was performing one day and everything was cool at first. At first. Then something happened. So I was dancing around the pole and everything, and I did this move where um like you hold on to the pole on the top of the pole right here, and then you hold on to the bottom of the pole like this, but you have your hands spread apart to like give yourself some leverage so you can like hold yourself out from the pole, and then you kind of like hold yourself out, pull yourself back in, hold yourself out, pull yourself back in. So that's what I was doing. But my hands, y'all, my hands, like right now, my hands is a little damp, but they're not sweaty right now. But a lot of times my hands sweat. So my hands was very sweaty that day. So when I was doing the move, my hands were sweating. So my hand just slipped right off the pole, just whoop. And right behind it, because my hand here was supporting the bottom part of my half, the bottom half of my body, this hand slipped. So automatically gravity hit, and so did my vajayjay hit the pole. So yeah, my poom poom hit the pole, and it hit hard too, y'all. It was like boom, and I was like, oh. I'm laughing now because like I could laugh now because I'm not feeling the pain no more. But man, that day I wasn't laughing. That ish was not funny. And to be honest, I don't think nobody noticed because I ain't see nobody else laughing or nothing like that. And I hope they didn't notice because right after that it hit, I felt the pain and I was like it was clenching. So I clenched up and I stopped dancing for a minute. And then I noticed, I looked down and I saw blood running down my leg. I was like, oh no, oh no, 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 no. So I did this like tight behind wobble. I had like, cause I didn't know how bad the bleed was gonna be, and I ain't wanted to be like a murder on the stripper pole. I didn't want it to look like that, so I was like tight walking, trying to like walking like I was on a tightrope, trying to get to the back. Okay, and Lord, my poom poom, my poor kitty was like swollen, like that joint swelled up, like it was like 4 times the size. Like scared the heck out of me, man. I was so done that day. I had to stay that night though because I still had to work because I had to get the money together to pay my bills and stuff. But child, ooh, that hurted so bad. Very painful, okay? And it was scary because, it swelled up. And I was like, oh my God, why it swell up like that? And I was talking to a couple of the other girls. They was like, girl, it's just from hitting it. You gonna be okay. And I'm like, I was tripping out because I was like, I don't want to hurt myself. Why I hurt myself? Child, I got stories for days, okay? Sometimes, like I said, sometimes because I used to drink so much at that time, so heavily at that time, sometimes I might mix up the stories and sometimes they might, you know, sound weird because, child, what? It's a weird time of my life. But it happened. It is what it is. And it all worked out eventually, right? So that would be the ending of this actual recording of my series of Sexy Saturday Stripper Tales. So, guys, make sure if you like this kind of content, make sure you like, or any of the other kind of contents that I, let you guys know that I do produce on my channel. Make sure you press that like button. Make sure you press that bell notification key so that you can be notified every time I upload. And I'll see you guys in the next video. So when you vibe with Ruth, you vibe with the truth. So why don't you go ahead and press that subscribe button and we start vibing. All right, let's vibe high, y'all. I'm out.